We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on a Saturday on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots on a Saturday morning. Glad you're all with us today. It's great to have you on board. Now, if only we had Diane Sorey on board with us today. This is Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot trying to reach Diane here. She's had a few computer issues this morning, and so we're going to try and pull her back in here. She was
I'm here.
There she is, and we're live on the air. Diane, good to have you with us. Glad you could make it today.
Please, I am having nothing but computer problems, folks. I need a new computer, and there's no two ways about it. This thing is just impossible.
It's on its last gasp, I think.
I think it is, and it's not an old computer, folks. It's less than 2 years old. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, let's face it. Your computer, my computer, they get a lot of work.
Oh, yes.
And quite frankly, I think a lot more than any other 5 or 6 average computers, to be honest.
True.
I mean, we're banging out articles every day. We're making contacts we're doing research every day. We're doing the shows.
Yeah, our computers guys are on about 20 out of 24 hours a day. But I'm sorry, when you spend a certain amount of money for a computer, and the one I operate on is no $399 bargain computer, and when you pay a lot of money for a computer, it should not go in less than 2 years. I'm sorry. But anyway.
Look, come on. It's Saturday. This is the lighter-hearted show of the week for us. Regardless of your problems and regardless of mine. Look, Diane's got computer issues. My entire house smells like diesel fuel.
That's true.
So we're getting a new furnace, folks, and what we had was the fuel oil furnace, and they took that out yesterday because the thing had kind of up and was ready to let go, and just didn't seem safe to have it. So they took it out, and of course in doing so, they spilled a little fuel oil, which is really number 2 diesel, on the floor and in the basement, and the whole house smells like diesel fuel this morning. So
Okay, Craig, I've got major issues here.
if I'm a little loopy today, everybody's going to know why. Or shall we say loopier than normal?
No, I'm actually not responding here. No, I don't mean me personally, guys. I mean the computer is actually no longer responding to the commands I'm sending it. And that's not a good thing.
No. Good grief. Have you kicked it? Sometimes if you
I'm
just
ready
kick
to
something.
throw it against the wall, guys, let me tell you, don't buy an Asus computer.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I never had problems with my Dell. It just died of old age. This one, I mean, this is ridiculous, and this is a top-of-the-line computer, folks. And let me tell you, less than 2 years, and it's going. I'm sorry. No.
It shouldn't happen that way, but it did.
But it did, and I'm not responding to the stuff that I need to respond to. But okay, we'll wing it.
We are, and let's by the way, how about we wake up our moderate Muslim intern Mohammed Hussein Obam here in a second. Let me tell folks what we got for the show today. By the way,
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. What is it? A Cromnibus spending bill? What are they calling that damn thing?
Yeah, Cromnibus.
I mean that thing. That thing's a hideous mess. Trey Gowdy is ready to throw out a few more subpoenas. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Amnesty is back in the news.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about that atrocious piece of dictatorial decree.
Yes.
And then Diane's got an article out on this whole CIA report, this god-awful thing that Dianne Feinstein put out the other day. I've got an article on common sense and politics. Now, I know the two don't really go together.
The two sort of don't go together, folks.
But they do if you're snarky enough.
Yes, if you hit it with the snark factor. And we have on Right Side Patriots the king of snark.
Who?
Who, pray tell?
So we got all that to cover. Plus, Diane, it's the Christmas season.
Yes.
And as per our norm on Saturdays during the Christmas season, we are going to have for you a handful of rather twisted, warped Christmas songs.
Many.
Many. Now, let's see here. I think... Let me look at my notes here because I just need to figure this out here for a second. I think the first one, the first one we are going to dedicate to Diane.
Oh dear, it must be with food.
It must be because last week we dedicated chipmunks roasting on an open fire to our resident vegetarian. So today we have the first Christmas song of the day. At the bottom of this hour will be dedicated to Diane. And then the last one of the day will be dedicated to all of those who voted in favor of the spending bill. Republicans and Democrats alike.
I got a good song for them, but I dare not tell the title.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to tell the title, but folks, you don't want to miss those. So let's go ahead and wake up our moderate Muslim intern, Mohammed Hussein Obam, slumbering in a cave high in the mountains of Tora Bora. Oh, Mohammed, are you there? Mohammed, do you have any quick hitters for us today? You just send them to me because Diane's computer took a crap on her. Well, load up the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel and send those suckers right on over here.
I'm actually back in operation now, however, Craig, in one of the things, I heard you got your paper, and I got my paper from him.
You did?
One of the little things from our neighbors across the pond apparently is an unsafe site.
Oh, is that
And
right?
that's what's causing me all the problems. My computer, the heightened security I have on it, will not allow it to open.
Well.
Yes, but it's kind of an easy one, I think, out of all of them.
Yeah, out of all of them, I think you're right, and I can understand why it's not letting it open. But we'll get to that, folks. Let's start. Let's start with today's first quick hitter. This one is one that kind of has Diane and I a little bit geeked out because we're both history nuts. Of course, my Patriot, the National Patriot. Diane's the Patriot Factor. So anything that kind of harkens back to that point in time in our nation's history with the founders and the framers, this is really cool. They have discovered a time capsule in a cornerstone of the Massachusetts Capitol building at the State House. And Diane, this thing dates back all the way to 1795.
Yes, and apparently it was put there by Samuel Adams and Paul Revere.
Yeah, now think about this, folks. These are two of our founding fathers, and this thing has been buried there since 1795. Now, from what we understand, there's a six-pack of Sam Adams Amber Ale in there. No, wait a minute, that's not right. That's in my fridge. That's not even a time capsule. There's some newspaper clippings, some newspapers. Think of this, folks. Newspapers from 1795.
Yes, and there's old coins in there. However, they haven't opened the capsule yet because they're afraid of what will happen when the air hits it. And it's going to be x-rayed to actually view the contents this Sunday.
Now, apparently there was a little plaque or something on the outside that said what was in it. Somehow they know. And along with those silver coins are some silver engravings. Now, I'll tell you why that is of particular interest to me. Paul Revere, and of course we all know Paul Revere from the Midnight Ride, and one of my land, two of my sea, and trotting down through all the cities and towns on his horse in the middle of the night getting hemorrhoids. Paul Revere was a silversmith, and so there's a very good chance that whatever engravings there are were actually done by Paul Revere himself.
Yes, and another very interesting fact about this is that the capsule itself is made of cowhide, and they believe that it was embedded in the cornerstone when the actual construction of the state capitol began in 1795. Adams at the time was the Massachusetts governor.
I mean, how cool is this? To have something that literally goes back to the birth of this nation. And two of the most well-known founding fathers. I mean, if you were going to pick out a top 10, these two would be in it.
Yes, and how they found this, there was renovations going on with a water filtration project in the building, and apparently that area that they had to go into was where this time capsule was found.
So Sunday, tomorrow they're going to open it, or tomorrow they're going to x-ray it?
Tomorrow they're going to x-ray it. Before you open a time capsule, it really needs to be x-rayed to make sure that when you do open it, that the air won't destroy the contents that are inside. Remember, this has been buried for, over 200 years in a damp building near the water system. So, excuse me, folks, they don't really know the condition yet of the contents. So it's safer to do it this way before they actually open it.
Right. And, I'm guessing when they do open it, if they open it, they'll do it in a very climate-controlled room, and it'll be the white glove thing. And, they're going to take every precaution because, my goodness.
Well, they better well take precautions with the climate because, with climate change, God only knows what can happen to it.
But, Diane, it's no longer climate change.
I know. It's now, what are they calling it now?
Climate tragedy.
Tragedy. We are now facing a climate tragedy. And guess who's leading the call on this?
Oh, God, who?
John Swiftboat Carey. He now is calling everything climate tragedy.
He was at the big climate tragedy conference and said that we are literally on the cusp of a climate tragedy.
Yes, this conference is taking place in Lima, Peru, and what they're doing is they're preparing a text to serve as the basis for a new compact to be signed in Paris next year. And what they're claiming is there's a discrepancy between the poor and the rich countries, and that discrepancy is hampering progress on climate control. Well, you know what? It's the weather.
I don't care how much.
It's the weather.
I don't care how much money you throw at the weather. You're not going to change it.
You're not going to change the weather, guys. The weather is what it is. It runs in cycles. The cycle that we happen to be going through right now, by coincidence, is the exact same cycle that was happening at the time of our nation's founding.
So
extremely hot summers and extremely cold winters. It leveled off. Until just a few years ago, it started again. We are actually entering what is scientifically known as a little ice age.
So I'm wondering when they open the time capsule if there's going to be a newspaper report about climate tragedy, 1795.
Yes, and you know what's sad about this, Craig? 195 countries have bought into this nonsense.
Well, and let me just explain to our listeners how our founding fathers dealt with climate tragedy.
Yeah,
Okay.
They piled on clothes.
Yeah, they put on an extra powdered wig.
Or an extra log on the fire.
Yeah, I mean, and if it was cold out, that's what they did, and they got warm. If it was warm out, they wore lighter clothes, some silk, something like that, and squirted water over their heads. I mean, that's how they dealt with it, and it worked out fine.
Yes.
I mean, we still got a country out of it, so.
But the problem is that this group, of course, China and the other big powers, they're saying they want to be responsible for their own country, and they happen to be right. What these kumbaya liberal-loving countries want the big countries, the main economic countries, to cut their pollution, but it's okay that they don't cut theirs, the smaller countries.
Right. We're all supposed to make up for them.
To develop. Yeah. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's the weather, folks.
It's the weather. The thermometer goes up, the thermometer goes down. The wind blows, the wind doesn't blow.
Yes.
It's like trying to throw money at the sun to make it stay up longer. I mean,
yeah, that happens when we change the clocks.
yeah. I mean, come on, people. I mean, gee whiz. Now, here's another discovery that was made. And this is one that Diane's having trouble getting into, and you'll see why here in just a minute, folks. But if you think the Sam Adams Paul Revere time capsule discovery at the Massachusetts Capitol building is astounding, wait till you hear what they discovered in the garden at the Queen's Palace in London.
Magic mushrooms, folks.
Magic mushrooms.
They
found magic mushrooms growing in the Queen's garden. Now, these things are actually called Amanita muscaria. Now, I don't know if very many people knew that, but that's what they're actually called, Amanita muscaria, otherwise known as magic mushrooms, which, when you look at the situation with some of the royal family, kind of explains a lot.
It explains a lot. Now, there is a little caveat to this, guys. There are apparently over 106 varieties of mushrooms that are grown in the royal garden. However, they do not use any of them in food preparation. So that leads me to believe, why are you growing them then?
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, they do thrive on BS.
True.
But can you imagine if they made like a mushroom cream sauce for the Queen's dinner and they used the magic mushrooms? that little old woman in her little pillbox hat would be dancing on the table.
That's true.
Can you imagine, folks? I mean, for God's sakes, the Queen of England. Woohoo! Shocking!
Yeah.
Absolutely
well, that might
shocking.
explain Prince Andrew's actions quite a bit.
Yeah, it might explain some of Prince Harry's actions.
It's Andrew. I said Andrew. I meant Harry. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm not an Anglophobe, so I'm not that savvy on, who's who in the British royal line.
A couple of years ago, or a year or so ago, we were all wondering why it was Prince Harry kept getting naked to play pool.
Yeah.
now we know.
Yeah, and why he was partying in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Yes.
Magic mushrooms.
Prince Andrew, I believe, is the youngest son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. At least I kept it in the family.
And really, what a gig for Andrew. I mean, you think about this. He never, ever has to worry about being the king.
True.
I mean, because, when the Queen passes away at, what will probably be the ripe old age of 330, if Chuck is still around, Chuck gets to be the king. And then it goes to Prince William. So Andrew gets all the cool stuff of being a member of the royal family and has no responsibilities for the throne at all.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Charles will never become king. It'll go directly to William. But isn't his son George the next in line, even ahead of Andrew? I mean, Andrew, there I go again. Even ahead of Harry in that one?
Yeah. So Harry will never be the king either, which also explains some of his idiosyncrasies. He doesn't care. I mean, it'll go from the Queen to Charles. If Charles accepts it, or if he,
Charles is drooling for it. But he's not going to get it because of the whole thing with Camilla. I think that's what's holding him off. And when you look at Charles's views on some things like Islam, the Queen wants him to ascend to the throne.
I think you're probably right. But, if she just ups and kicks the magic mushroom bucket, then it does go to Charles, regardless of the whole Camilla thing,
True, but remember, her mother lived to 104, and she's, 80-something?
Well, yeah. But, I mean, look, if it ever does pass to Charles, at least Camilla could pull the coronation wagon down the road.
Oh, come on. She's not as bad as what we have.
Well, no, but I'm just saying. Well, and speaking of, Obama, this is kind of funny. In a way, because Michelle Bachmann went to the White House Christmas party.
Yes, and had her picture taken with him by the tree.
I wonder if the Mao Zedong ornament was in the background.
Probably with the moon and star topper, that they're selling at Walmart now for $19.99. That probably topped the tree.
Well, at the party, because look, folks, Michelle Bachmann is retiring.
Yes.
And so she's basically done now.
Yes.
And
well,
so
she's not done. There's a couple of little rumors about things she's going to jockey for.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, she's only got a few days left.
Yes.
Sitting in the Hall of Congress, and then she's retired. And so she knew this was going to be her last opportunity to speak to the dictator face to face.
Yes, well,
and boy,
I have the quote of exactly what she said.
Let it rip.
Okay, gotta love Michelle. Quote, I turned to the president and I said something to the effect of, Mr. President, you need to bomb the Iranian nuclear facilities because if you don't, Iran will have a nuclear weapon on your watch and the course of world history will change. And this is what she told to the Washington Free Beacon and also on, it was either O'Reilly or Hannity. I'm not sure which show, but it was the other night. And then she went on to say, and he got this condescending smile on his face and laughed at me and said, "Well, Michelle, it's just not that easy." And I said to him, "No, Mr. President, you're the president. It will happen on your watch, and you'll have to answer to the world for this." And that was it, and then I left. "Merry Christmas," she said, with a laugh.
You got to hand it to Michelle Bachmann. I mean, she went to the White House Christmas party for one purpose and one purpose only, to tell the dictator off.
Yeah, and she did it, and good for her. I do not think this is the last we'll be hearing from Michelle Bachmann.
I hope not, because, I admire her gusto.
Yeah,
And,
good VP possibility there.
Yeah, I mean, not only did she tell him off, she then turned on her heels and walked out.
Yes, she didn't let him get the last word, folks. Can you imagine having the guts to turn your back on the President of the United States, even though we know he's the dictator, but having the guts to turn your back on that POS? I love it.
Never mind.
That's girl power, guys.
Well,
That's
it
girl
is.
power. None of you had the courage to do that.
Well, never mind turning your back on the president. She turned her back on a Muslim.
Yes. And it's a woman turning her back on the Muslim.
I mean, you think about that, folks. You think of the message in that sense, and even though she didn't say it, don't think for 1 minute that did not cross her mind.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Michelle Bachmann is one smart cookie, and I'd love to see her on a ticket.
Oh, I would too.
Yes.
I would too. But I mean, what a great plan on her part. I mean, she gets invited, so it would have been so easy for Michelle Bachmann to have said, "I ain't going to that crappy thing."
Yes.
But oh no, not Michelle. No, she had a purpose when she walked into that party, and she delivered.
Yes. Well, Craig, I got a little breaking thing here that was just put up.
Okay.
And it might be something interesting for people to look into. Apparently, a video has surfaced, and there's no verification on it yet, official verification, but if you look at it and you look at the person in the video, you are tempted to go, Apparently, there is now a video of Michael Brown, the gentle giant from Ferguson, beating up and robbing an old man. And it is just hitting the internet now.
Wow.
Yes.
That's if that's really him, that's huge.
Yes. Now
Not
I have
not that any of the rioters.
I have it right in front of me. Maybe during our commercial break, I'll run it and see if it really does jive.
Not that any of the rioters, looters, arsonists, or thugs with their hands up, don't shoot posters will believe it.
Yes.
Or that it will matter to them in the least, because he's a saint.
Yes. Now, if this is true, and I'm going to watch it during the break, Craig, this would be huge. This would be huge. We have said from day one that these protesters, these rioters, these idiots are doing all this in the name of a poor innocent black boy murdered by the police. Well, this will actually shove it right back in their faces if true.
Well, folks, we got to take a break right now, so Diane will have time to take a look at this video and give us her full assessment of it when we come back. However, remember, right after this word from our commercial or our sponsors, our good friends, we have the first of today's Twisted Christmas songs.
Yes.
And this one is the one we are dedicating to Diane.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Okay.
Should I get my knife and fork ready?
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. Folks, don't go anywhere. Right Side Patriots will be back after this.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I came upon a road to kill deer, a sorrowful sight to behold. He lay upon the highway's edge, his body was stiff and cold. I bet he never saw the car careening through the snow. The light shone brightly in his eyes, and then they laid him low. I came upon a roadkill deer and lifted him off the road. We'll all enjoy a Christmas feast of Bambi sloppy joy.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots, a song dedicated to Diane Sorey, our resident vegetarian. I came upon a roadkill deer.
Gee, thanks, Craig. I really needed that first thing in the morning.
Folks, you know,
I
on
hope
Saturdays...
Santa leaves lots of coal in your stocking.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. You know, on Saturdays, folks, we have a little bit more fun, and part of that during the Christmas season is that we play, some slightly, ever so slightly twisted Christmas songs. And that's the first one of the day. We got 2 more to go. And the one at the very end of the show, you don't want to miss it, folks. You really don't, because we're dedicating that one to all the people who have voted in favor and will vote in favor of the big Cromnibus spending bill.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you're with us for that very last song of the day today. Diane, you had a chance to look at the video. What do you think?
Yes. It looks like Michael Brown, except the one thing that I'm not totally sure about is the height. He apparently, when shot, was 6'3". The build, the face match him. This kid in this video, and it's a group of black thugs all standing around beating up an old man. Supposedly, the Michael Brown is kicking him in the head, stomping on him, whatever, and is the one who actually robbed him. As some other blacks stood around watching it, including women doing nothing. The man stumbled away and the video went out. Now, the only thing I'm not sure about is how tall were these other thugs, because the supposed Michael Brown was taller than them, but 6'3", I'm not sure. However, this might have been a younger Michael Brown, because remember, he did have a juvenile record, and there was talk of an assault as part of that record. This could have been that.
Well,
so
be looking on social media, folks.
I really want a bit more verification before actually saying it's Michael Brown, but it could be Michael Brown. Craig, you're going to look at it after the show, and I don't know if it is. This is very damning, and these rioters, they need to bring all the stuff back that they stole.
I mean, it's regardless of whether it's Michael Brown, it sounds absolutely disgusting.
It is disgusting. It is disgusting because a group of them are standing around cheering him on, and this is black on black crime, folks. This is what we've been talking about for a long time, that this is the stuff that does not go reported. Black on black crime is 100 times more rampant than any random police shooting, the occasional police shooting of a black thug. I'm just so sick of this crap.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, be looking around on social media. You'll probably find it. It's getting posted around. So
I can post it on my site for people to see it. But again, I'm going to put a disclaimer on top that we need more verification.
All right.
But it will be on my timeline for anybody that wants to see it.
Let's get into this spending bill thing, because, folks, let's face the facts here. We're $18 trillion in debt, and the House, including a bunch of Republicans, just voted to go ahead and spend another $1.1 trillion.
Yes.
I mean,
65 of our wonderful Republicans voted for it. I guess we need to add the term rhino after all of their names.
Well, what we have here, folks, is John Boehner literally turning his back on the American voters a month and a half after the election that was supposed to have sent a message both to Obama and Obama's ilk and to Boehner.
Yes.
He just gave us all the finger.
Yeah, he didn't care. He absolutely did not care. Boehner is in too close of cahoots with Pelosi and Reid. Boehner needs to go. We need the likes of Trey Gowdy being Speaker of the House.
Yeah, or Jason Chaffetz, or anybody other
Anybody
than,
at this
yeah.
point.
Included in the spending bill, folks, is provisions to go ahead and fund amnesty, which we're going to be talking about in the next segment of the show.
Yes.
There's also stuff in there that could, if you have a pension, if you're, wherever you work, you're supposed to be getting a pension. There's stuff in this bill that could actually cut into your pensions.
Yes. Yes, and it also takes away from our military, from our veterans again. Ain't that a little bit of happiness?
I mean, this whole thing, first of all, $1.1 trillion for the next year? Good Lord.
Now, this is only to fund the government until September of 2015. There are sections of it, including the Homeland Security section, that only go through March of 2015. So we're going to have this back again. Thankfully, though, of all things, the Senate doesn't want to pass it. Reid said a vote is going to be taken Monday morning. They're vacillating and arguing back and forth because what happened is Obama actually cut a deal with Boehner.
Yeah, here we go again, folks.
So his own party is turning on him, and rightfully so. I mean, maybe for the first time in his life, Harry Reid is actually going to do the right thing and vote against this monstrosity.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Harry Reid is so far up Obama's butt that I don't think Harry will vote against. Here's what I think the problem is right now. I think the Senate would have voted on this thing yesterday. But I don't think Harry's got the votes. I think he's looking at this thing and counting the votes, and I don't think he's got enough to pass it.
No, I don't think he does either. And what they had to do, the current government actually ran out of money on Thursday, or, reached their limit. But they passed an emergency stopgap measure to keep the government running through midnight Saturday. So technically, what happens between Saturday midnight and Monday when they're going to vote?
Well, I'll tell you what happens technically. No further damage can be done because the government won't be spending money.
That's true. But here it is. We owe over $18 trillion in debt, and we're going to now spend $1.1 trillion more dollars.
I know, for 9 more months. I mean,
yeah, does anybody else have a problem with this picture?
Well, I do.
Yeah, I do, and I know a lot of other people do. And guess what? Of all things, Botox Queen Nancy Pelosi is actually against this bill, and she voted against it.
Now,
but their reasons for voting against it are quite different than ours.
Yeah, that doesn't go far enough for them.
Right. Doesn't go far enough for them, and for the good ones on our side, it goes a little bit too far.
Look, I'm sorry, but there's got to be a way to cut government spending. And here's part of the problem too. When the government tells you they have cut spending, here's how they do it. And this is kind of the Common Core approach to spending cuts. Okay, and this is what Congress does. Is if last year they asked for, let's just use a number that we can almost kind of wrap our heads around. Let's say they asked for $1 billion.
Okay.
For Project A last year. This year they will ask for, and Project A was scheduled, let's say, to increase in cost by 50%. So this year they should be asking for $1.5 billion. All right?
Okay.
So this year, instead of asking for 1.5, they asked for 1.4 billion, and they say they cut the budget. They're still spending more than they did last year, but not as much as they intended to spend. So now they've cut the budget.
First of all, in my opinion, they shouldn't be spending anything until they start paying down on our debt. But here's what held it up, why Pelosi and some other top Democrats would not vote for it. It all went around two specific provisions that the Democrats didn't like. One was a provision rolling back one of the regulations imposed on the financial industry in the wake of the economic collapse of 2008. And the other one was one that permitted wealthy contributors to increase the size of their donations to political parties for national conventions, election recounts, or the construction of a headquarters building. In other words, this really, again, dealt around with distribution of wealth, because these things that they didn't like had to do with the bankers. And I'm sorry, folks, but you don't have the bankers, you don't have the financial industry, you don't have an economy. And dealing with the contributors, what do they care what some personal wealthy people contributes? They don't seem to mind it when their top-notch Democratic contributors contribute all this money, but they have a problem with it when it's Republicans that do so.
Well, and the liberals have plenty of their own multimillionaires and billionaires that are tossing money at them constantly. And you never hear Harry or Nancy whining about that. You only hear them whining about the Koch brothers, who happen to be Republicans, who pitch in a lot of money. And if you get right down to it, and you look at the Koch brothers, they have financed some of the stuff for the Democrats, too.
Yes. Most of these wealthy donors, people think are cut strictly down party lines, but most of them, the extreme wealthy, while they might contribute overwhelmingly to one party, they always give a little something to the other party.
Yeah, they play both sides of the fence, and
Of course.
Just in case. But this whole spending bill, aside from the $1.1 trillion that it encompasses, I think what what really makes me mad is the fact that Boehner, right after the election, said, well, we're gonna defund this amnesty thing, and we're gonna tighten down the purse strings and all this, and then when it came right down to it, he literally did exactly the opposite.
He caved. Boehner needs to, change his party affiliation and put the D after his name, because that's how he's acting. And I keep remembering what Ted Cruz said, come the new Senate, we need to stop everything that Obama pushes forward. Everything Obama wants, from his appointments to his bills, we need to vote no. And this is exactly one of the reasons why. Here it is, $18 trillion plus in debt, and they're going to spend $1.1 trillion.
Well, that's what's going on over on the Senate side now. So we're waiting until Monday. We'll see if they vote on Monday in the Senate.
Yes.
If Harry's got enough votes to squeak this thing through and plunge our national debt even deeper into the abyss. But over on the House side of things, we've got a little Trey Gowdy news. And Gowdy, as we all know, is heading up the investigation into Benghazi. Go, Trey, go. And he is ready to issue some new subpoenas, Diane.
Yes, to Hillary Clinton and Susan Rice. However, this is a little point that Craig and I have a mild disagreement on. I love Trey Gowdy. I want to see him as Speaker of the House. However, he can subpoena Hillary. He can subpoena Susan Rice. He can subpoena John Kerry. He can subpoena the moon. But unless he subpoenas Barack Hussein Obama, we will never, ever get true justice for Christopher Stevens.
Well,
and all the rest.
I'll tell you, I feel just a little differently about now. I do want him to subpoena Obama. I want him to drag Obama's skinny, narrow little butt in there. Folks, you got to excuse me. My dog Bella, every time a Muslim breaks wind in Kyrgyzstan, my dog starts barking. And apparently there's a fart fest going on over there. But and I do want Obama's butt hauled up in front of that committee, and I do want him grilled by Trey Gowdy. But Trey, and I think it might come to that. And Trey Gowdy is the type of guy that will cross every T and dot every I on his way to getting what he needs to get. And I think this business with re-subpoenaing, Hillary and Susan Rice, these are a couple of I's and a couple of T's that need to be dealt with before he can get to Obama. And, little by little, I think he is getting to the bottom of this Benghazi thing. And I think when he's ready to go balls to the walls with it, I think we're all going to be just absolutely amazed by what he has to reveal.
I need to take a deep breath on this one. Okay. We know the facts. We know Obama was running an illegal gun running
I'm on the air. I can't come up.
Turkey into Syria to fund the Free Syrian Army and other supposed rebels who we now know are actually in cahoots with ISIS. Okay, we do know certain facts. We know that Christopher Stevens begged for help from the State Department for weeks, if not months, leading up to the attack on Benghazi. We know certain facts about who could order a stand down. And guys, if the generals on the ground don't do it, if the admirals don't do it, and none of them have said they did it, that can only come from the White House. We do know certain things. We need Obama's ass on that stand, and Trey Gowdy needs to not let up on him until that man has tears rolling down his face.
Well, and if there's anybody that can make that happen, it's Trey Gowdy. I'll tell you what, I don't care how accomplished a liar Obama is. I don't think even Obama can stand up to Trey Gowdy. And I mean, we've all seen the videos of Trey Gowdy just ripping people a new one in these committee hearings, and it is impressive. And Trey Gowdy, as a federal prosecutor, has never ever lost a case.
True, and I have great confidence in Trey Gowdy, but I don't like this time wasting. We know what Hillary's going to say. What difference does it make? We know that. We know Susan Rice is a bold-faced liar. Why go through all of this, waste the time, waste the money, get the big kahuna up there, and figuratively beat his ass to a pulp? Like you say, Trey Gowdy is the man to do it. Let's stop wasting time and let's get it done.
I'm all for it. But I still want every and you got to bring Hillary back. What difference does it make? And you got to bring Susan Rice back because we know they're full of it. And Trey Gowdy is going to take no prisoners when he puts them up on the stand. Believe me. And if he can get them to spill anything, or at the very least, contradict themselves, that's more fuel to the Trey Gowdy fire. So, and like I said, I'm all for it, and I want him to bring Obama before that committee, and by doing it the way he's doing it, Diane, I got to tell you, he's going to leave absolutely no wiggle room for Obama whatsoever. And when you're dealing with a snake like Obama, you want to make that case airtight before you put him up there.
Yes, but you also don't need to have this dragging on like it is. There's no reason that, okay, let him get Hillary on the stand again and let her pee in her pants. Let him bitch slap Susan Rice. The woman deserves it because she's a bona fide liar. But he needs to make these short and sweet and get Obama up there. Obama is ground zero of Benghazi. And we need to stop the, and I hate to use the word, but the political correct chain of command. No, when you have 4 dead Americans that America, and I have to use the word possibly here until Trey Gowdy finishes, possibly had their hand in, we need to get to it ASAP. No more pussyfooting around, no more anything. Like I said, I love Trey Gowdy. I want him as Speaker of the House. But sometimes certain I's and certain T's have already been dotted and crossed. You go for the big guns, and Obama is ground zero of Benghazi, in my opinion.
What you're doing, Diane, is you're looking at this like let's get it over with. And Trey Gowdy is looking at this.
No, don't put words in my... No. Do not put words in my mouth. I am not looking at it like that. I am looking at it as the truth needs to come out now. The families need to know the truth. The American people need to know the truth. We've had enough stonewalling with truth from both sides of the aisle during this administration. Well, here we have a perfect chance to bring some justice for Christopher Stevens and the others. Trey Gowdy is the man to do it. I have confidence he will do it, but I don't like this dragging it out.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. What I was going to say...
No, you said...
All right, I'm not going to say it. All right, I'm not going to say it. I'm pretty much done with this topic then. Diane's not going to let me express myself.
No,
I'm done with the topic.
You can express yourself, but don't say, I'm trying to rush this and get this done. No. That
wasn't what I was going to say.
But you did say that.
And then you cut me off again. So I'm done with the topic.
Go ahead.
No.
I won't say a word.
Right. I believe that. Folks, a rhetorical show of hands. How many people think? Oh, for goodness sakes. Anyway, Trey Gowdy is going to subpoena Hillary. He's going to subpoena Susan Rice. And that's going to, those are going to be things to watch. And, it's going to be, because, the last time Hillary was on the stand, it was high entertainment. What difference at this point does it make? And so this is going to be, and Susan Rice, she's Obama's paid puppet liar. And, so we're going to see how that goes. But I guarantee you, Trey Gowdy is not going to hold back on him.
No,
which will make it even more entertaining. So,
well, we will see. And every time I think of Hillary at that congressional investigation hearing, what difference does it make?
It makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. It just absolutely lights me up.
Yeah, how would she like it if it was her daughter and her granddaughter over there? Would she say the same thing? I mean, it's just, it's a matter, with her, it's a matter of treason. Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
And I've said it, you've said it, they need to put her in handcuffs and haul her off to orange jump pantsuit jail.
Yeah, and they need to throw Obama in there and a couple of others in there too, including who was the previous press secretary? One
Jay
with
Carney.
The Mousy tongue photos hanging in his dining room.
Yeah, Jay Carney.
Jay Carney, he needs to go too because he stood before the American people and deliberately lied and covered all their asses. There's a bunch of them. Susan Rice needs to be arrested. There's a whole bunch of them.
It gets more disgusting by the minute, folks.
Let off with Obama.
Yeah, let him lead the parade to the Gray Bar Hotel.
Yes. He will get 3 squares a day at least, and it won't be food that the Moo picks for him.
Well, so what you're saying is we're not going to torture him. Oh, man.
Oh, dear.
Folks, we're going to have to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to get into amnesty because amnesty is once again rearing its ugly head. But this time, the states are fighting back.
Yes.
And this is a good thing, folks. So hang on. Let us get a couple of words from our sponsors, and we'll be back for yet another hour of Right Side Patriots right here on CPR Worldwide Media.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold. Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team City and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to city.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. Diane's got a great article, by the way, on this whole CIA terror report thing. And I mean, she did a lot of research on this, folks. I mean, a lot of research. And if you haven't read it, you need to. But we're going to be talking about it in the next segment of the show, too. But if you go to thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, that's where you're going to find that article. And it bears reading. Because, folks, that CIA report was nothing but a load of treason. Diane knows it, I know it, you know it, and I believe Feinstein knows it.
Oh, she knows it damn well.
Well, if she read your article, she knows it.
Yeah, she doesn't care. That's the problem.
That is the exact problem with that. Now, let's get into this amnesty thing because, Obama whipped out his pen and his phone, both of which I have a holster for in my mind.
Okay.
And he signed this amnesty crap, made a dictate out of it, as dictators will. But now, Diane, states are fighting back. And we're not talking 1 or 2 or 3 states here.
No, we're talking 24 states, and I'm so happy to say that my state of Florida is one of them.
And so's mine.
Yes, Nebraska's one of them too.
Almost half the states in this nation are suing Obama. They've joined the Texas lawsuit.
Yes, I have the list of the 24 states. It'll just take a second to, roll call them off. So our readers could either cheer or go, we need to get on our states to join this. Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. And guys, do you notice an overwhelming pattern here?
Yeah.
And that pattern is?
Go ahead.
These are predominantly red states.
Well, and after this last election, so are some other states that weren't so predominantly red before November 4th.
Right, but they are now, and they are joining in on this lawsuit.
Well, I mean, let's face it, there's not a state in this country that is not adversely affected by this amnesty thing.
Correct.
Illegal aliens, I now call them criminal aliens, because they broke the law just by coming here. They broke the law.
Yeah, I've called them criminals since day one.
Criminal aliens are literally in every part of this country. And, for those places that didn't have enough of them already, during the big, criminal alien surge a few months ago, Obama was shipping them to various parts of the country, putting them on airplanes and shipping them around.
Yes. And there's another good point in all of this with these states all joining together. Their position was now enhanced when U.S. District Judge Andrew Hanen was appointed to their case. Now listen to this. He is a Bush appointee, okay? And he is one who had previously criticized the Obama regime as operating a criminal conspiracy in that rather than enforcing existing immigration laws, they were providing transportation in completion of illegal alien smuggling activities. And I have some quotes here from him that are just mind-boggling. I mean, this man, if he holds true to his past rulings, Obama's in big doo-doo. Deep doo-doo.
Deep.
Yes, and rightly so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what happens when you have a judge who actually respects the rule of law instead of trying to legislate from the bench.
Right. Remember, the Constitution does not allow the president to legislate from the bench, to make laws from the bench. The president has certain checks and balances put upon him, and he's way out of line with this EO on amnesty.
Well, what's going to happen with this amnesty thing, folks? And Diane and I have both written about it. But let's reiterate, some of the really obtuse things that are buried within this amnesty thing. I did an article on this last week where within this amnesty thing, these criminal aliens, 5 million of them, who are going to be on the receiving end of this, dictatorial amnesty, are not going to have to pay for Obamacare. Now, U.S. citizens, we have to pay for Obamacare, and if we don't, we get fined for it. Now, here's the thing. Business owners, they either have to pay for their workers' Obamacare, or they have to pay a $3,000 fine if they choose not to pay for their Obamacare. That's $3,000 per worker, not per business, folks. So with 5 million new people being thrust into the workforce, And that's what Obama says he's going to do here. They're all going to get work visas, okay? If you own a business, what are you supposed to do? Are you going to hire an American citizen and either have to pay for their Obamacare or pay the $3,000 fine, or are you going to hire a criminal alien and you don't have to pay the fine or the Obamacare?
Exactly. And in fact, there are certain penalties in place if companies actually hire Americans over these now legal illegals. Think about that, folks.
I mean, this amnesty thing, and there's not a state in the nation that's not going to be adversely affected by this, because these people are going to pour over the border. And plus, folks, there is nothing in this amnesty bill regarding securing the border. It's an open door.
Yes.
And all it does is invite more and more and more of these criminal aliens to come in here. Therefore, the market is going to be flooded. Listen up, liberals. If you happen to work for a union, you're in deep weeds with this thing, because unions are going to be able to pay the criminal aliens less than they're paying you. They're not going to have to pay for their Obamacare or the penalty. And what do you think that's going to do for the unions? Well, these criminal aliens are going to step into these union jobs. They're going to be more than happy to pay the union dues. Now, see, we got a lot of unions right now that are losing membership because people are disgusted with them. The workers are getting disgusted, and they don't want to pay their union dues because they don't think they're getting anything out of it. Well, the criminal aliens will be more than happy to pay those union dues. The unions will then take that money and put it into liberal candidates and liberal elections, trying to get more liberals in Congress who will then push more amnesty.
Yeah, it's a very vicious circle. But thankfully, last week, Governor-elect Abbott filed a motion for a preliminary injunction which would stop the amnesty before legal documents are scheduled to be handed out next June. In other words, he wants to stop it before they even have a chance to receive those work permits.
Now, right before the election, Governor-elect Greg Abbott said, "You elect me and I'm willing to go toe-to-toe with Obama immediately." Well,
and he's done it, which you got to give him credit.
If you don't have a governor in your state like Greg Abbott, maybe you ought to go looking for one, because I got a feeling this guy is a take-no-prisoners governor.
Yeah, and guess what? That crazy lady that ran against him, he does all this from a wheelchair.
I know.
Yeah, remember her with, he's not really in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what they call her, Abortion Barbie.
Yeah, I forget her name. That's how much of an impression she made.
Wendy Davis. Wendy Davis.
That's it. Yes, you're right.
That's her name. And she made fun of him for being in a wheelchair, and her campaign staff, they were making fun of him because he's in a wheelchair. Well, guess what, folks? Just because you can't walk doesn't mean you can't think. And Greg Abbott is a thinking man's governor, and this guy is going to take on Obama every step of the way. And why shouldn't he? He's in a border state, for goodness sakes. And you look, well, we're all border states now when you think about it.
Yes.
But you look at this situation, and all these other states, their attorney generals are looking at what Greg Abbott is doing and what this lawsuit is, and they're saying, yeah, this is one we can get on board with. So he's doing this right. 24 other states are now involved. 24 states altogether are involved in this thing. That's one state shy of half the nation is looking at Obama and going, screw you, pal.
We need more of the liberal blue states coming on board. We need a New York, a New Jersey, a Connecticut, California, and I'm surprised California's not in here because they are terribly affected by this.
Well, they are, but remember, Governor Moonbeam, Jerry Brown over there, he said, hey, all the illegals, they're welcome in our state.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, well, it goes along. He kisses Obama's butt, so why not?
He's nuts. But, I wouldn't be surprised down the road here shortly if we start to see a blue state, or maybe not so much a blue state, but let's call it a purple state, where you got kind of a mix, but they're being adversely affected, or they can see where their state is going to be hugely affected by this. Because this is not a partisan matter, this lawsuit thing. It should not be a partisan matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a blue state or a red state. This thing is going to have an enormous downward effect on your state's economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No matter what state, because when these people get sent to your states, who's going to pay for their schooling? Who's going to pay for their housing? Who's going to pay for their food? Who's going to pay for their medical care? Who? Guess who? We the people.
Yeah. And a lot of it's going to fall to the state.
Yes.
It's kind of like, in a way, Diane, this is kind of like Obamacare. It's a bipartisan disaster, meaning it's going to have a disastrous effect, whether you're a liberal or whether you're a conservative, whether you're a blue state or a red state. This dictatorial decree is going to have a horrible effect on you and your state.
Yes, and guess who it's going to affect the most, people? Obama's core group of black supporters. They don't understand. A lot of the black young men, the ones that are so in the news now, when they do have jobs, they go into menial jobs, entry-level jobs. You guys know what I mean, those kind of bottom-of-the-barrel jobs.
Well,
but
starter jobs.
Starter jobs, okay, it gets them working. Well, guess who are going to lose those jobs now? Because the illegals, who most of them, I think the latest statistic was over 50% don't speak a word of English, they're going to get those jobs. So it's the black community that's going to be hurt the most by this amnesty. These are not white collar workers coming in, folks. These are not your doctors, your lawyers, your rocket scientists. No, these are your migrant workers. These are your McDonald's workers, your Walmart workers. I mean, these are lower level jobs. They're going to take it away.
You know who else?
Black Americans.
You bring up the black community, and rightly so. But you know who else is going to take the brunt of the impact on this? Young people.
Yes.
People in high school, people in college, people that need just a part-time job while they're going to school, whether it's high school or college. The kind of people that you see working at the pizza joint down the street, or flipping burgers, or something that where they have time, they have some time they can work, but they need to pay attention to their school and their studies, things like that. These entry-level jobs, those people are going to be hit by this too, and that is yet another core Obama support group, the young people.
Yes. But the young people, thankfully, are turning away from him, at least the ones, that have some working brain cells, not the occupiers, of course.
Well,
But some of them are, starting to turn away from him, and they helped us take back Congress in November. This is just bad all the way around, because like Craig said in the beginning, these people, by the very act of how they came here, are criminals. And in our Constitution itself, it states we do not have to take in criminals. That's what these people are. I don't care how sorry you feel for the children or this or that. These are criminals. They knowingly came here breaking our laws. Now, it is a little bit different when the ones who were born here of criminal parents. And there is quite a few options for them, meaning they get sent back with their parents, and maybe when they're 18, they can, come back here, but they would have to go into the military. I mean, that's some things that have been floated around. They were born here. That is a more touchy situation.
It is.
But for the most part, we need to send these people back.
To wherever.
And thrown into this amnesty bill, Craig, is the 100,000 Muslims that Obama wants to bring in here.
Yeah, let's not forget that, folks, because those things are going on too. and they're gonna be on the same receiving end as those that are pouring across our southern border, and they're not going to have to pay Obamacare either. They get that break.
Yes, yes, they're not going to pay anything. Well, the Muzzies get away with everything, under Obama. Here it is, we have homegrown terrorists, and he doesn't even revoke their passports, but, so be it.
The whole thing, and this is why this lawsuit that has now been, joined by 24 states is so important, because this is the type of action that states need to be taking, not only on amnesty, but they should also do it again on Obamacare and so many of these other mandates that have come down from the emperor. The states need to just stand up and say, you know what, you can't tell us what to do.
Well, that's the whole thing with Article 5 that people really need to start paying attention to, because certain things are states' issues. They do not belong in the hands of the federal government.
Hey, can we do a shameless plug here, speaking of Article 5?
Yes, we can.
Folks, if you haven't heard the show yet, Legislative Roundtable, it's on Friday nights, right here on CPR Worldwide Media. And Charles Kaprowitz and Kelly Gordon, Sandy and Mike, all this stuff surrounds getting the power back to the states. Well, they got a hold of us yesterday, and they said, "Hey, could you and Diane come on and be our guest on next Friday night, which is December 19th?" So we said, "Heck yeah!" So Diane and I are going to do a guest shot Friday night with Charles Kaprowitz and his crew on Legislative Roundtable, and we're going to be on at 8 o'clock Eastern. The show runs from 7 to 9 Eastern on Friday nights. And what they think, Diane, that we can add to their conversation is beyond me. But we're going to go in there and have some fun.
Experts on Article 5.
Well, yeah, but you and I, we'll just go on and have fun.
Yeah. But you know what I think what they might be interested in, and our listeners should know this about us from the beginning. We are big proponents that the social issues belong on the state's level. And I think maybe that's the angle they're going to come at us with, because you and I have had it with the social issues constantly being brought into federal elections. They don't belong there. They belong as the property of the states to deal with.
At best. I mean, or in some cases, individual municipalities.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, and this is what our founders and framers envisioned for this country. They envisioned a nation where the federal government was there to serve the people, not lord over them, and where states and the people had the real power in this country. And that's what Article 5 and the Countermand Amendment is all about. That's what Charles' show is all about, Legislative Roundtable, is getting that power to where it's supposed to be, where it rightfully belongs, in the hands of the states. So that's kind of what this lawsuit against amnesty is about, is the states standing up and saying, no, you cannot throw this at us or cram it down our throats. We're not going to stand for it.
And if this succeeds, this might open up the whole issue of what belongs on the state level and what belongs on the federal level.
Well, and let's hope you're right. Let's hope it does, because, right now, well, think about what Ronald Reagan said. Ronald Reagan once said, "Government is not the answer to the problem. Government is the problem."
And Reagan was absolutely right about that, especially the government we have in place now.
When you're signing a bill to spend an extra $1.1 billion, not over 10 years, not over 5 years, but over the next 9 months, government has grown way, way too big. When government can tell the states what to do, federal government has gotten way, way too big. When the federal government can either make or break businesses, federal government has gotten way, way too big.
Yes. And when federal government also starts butting into things that are really religious of nature, that's a problem too. The whole issue of gay marriage and everything never belonged on the federal level. That always belonged on the state level or in the churches and synagogues of this country,
Well,
not at the federal level.
and dare I say, abortion?
Yes.
That should also be a state's issue. That should not be a federal issue.
Never should have been a federal issue.
You
Never,
know,
never.
The federal government has just expanded and expanded, and now they're into all of our lives. They're making the decisions for us. Now, liberals think that's great because that gets liberals out of any responsibility. Liberals don't have to do anything. They just have to let the government do it for them. But that's not the way this country is supposed to be.
No, it's not. We are a nation of laws. Absolutely, we are a nation of laws, and most of the people abide by those laws. But that just because we're a nation of laws doesn't mean all the laws come from the top. Some of it has to come from the states, because each state has different issues that affect them simply from their geography within the country. Issues that might be pertinent, let's say, to my state of Florida are vastly different than issues might be for Craig's state of Nebraska.
For instance, here in Nebraska, we have yet to see a hurricane.
And we've yet to see a snowstorm.
I mean, so you've got, let's face it, climate tragedies aside, different states have different issues. Different states have, need for different roads or different types of bridges or, this, that, and the other thing. Agricultural states have different needs than manufacturing states or tourist states.
Yes.
And that's why the power should reside within the state. Who knows better what the state of Nebraska needs than the state of Nebraska? Certainly not the federal government. Same goes for Florida. Same goes for Delaware. Same goes for Oregon. I don't care what state you pick. And as we know, there are 57 of them. I mean, seriously.
Well, there are 57 Islamic states, and when you have a Muslim uttering those words, that's what comes to their mind.
Well, and I think one of them is Dearbornistan, Michigan. But
yeah, with others coming up close behind, sorry to say.
But, let the states decide what's best for the states, And when it comes to all these onerous regulations, I live in an agricultural state. I grew up in this state. And, there's nothing like somebody back in Washington, D.C. telling farmers how to conserve their land. I'm telling you, if farmers didn't know how to conserve their land, they wouldn't have any land to worry about.
Exactly. I mean, this is why there is a separation of who tells what and who doesn't tell what. The federal government laid out in the Constitution has specific duties. And under this regime, they have crossed over into things that are not their right to do. But part of the problem is we have a Congress that has allowed it. Yeah. They have done nothing to stop this man.
And this is nothing new either, folks. This is not just in the last 6 years. This has been an ongoing issue that has literally built up to this point. And it's time for the states to step up and tell the federal government that their first duty is to butt the hell out.
Yes. Yes. Let the powers go where they're supposed to go, where the Constitution says they should go, where our founders laid it out to go. And certain people aren't going to like it. Certain people even on our side aren't going to like it. But like I said, we are a nation of laws. But the main law is the Constitution. And we need to follow the Constitution, and that includes the far uber religious right. You need to follow the Constitution.
Wow, what a concept. What a concept. Yeah. The Constitution, a founding document.
Isn't that amazing?
That, by the way, was written by some really smart people.
Some really smart people, Craig. But isn't it sad, though, when some on our side also twist and bastardize the Constitution?
I know.
That's the saddest thing of all. We know the left is going to do it, but when we have people on our own side doing it, that is really sad.
It's infuriating.
Yes.
That's what it is. Folks, we're going to have to take a quick break. Now, as is our custom on Saturdays during the Christmas season, we play some little twisted up Christmas songs. We've got another one for you after this quick break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about Diane's article on the CIA report. I've got an article out about common sense in government. I know those are oxymorons when you put them together, but trust me, if you apply enough snark, it actually works out.
And it worked out very well. Craig's article is a great article.
And then, to close the show, the most twisted Christmas song of the day, and we're dedicating it to all of those who have or will be voting in favor of the $1.1 trillion spending package. You don't want to miss that, folks. I swear to you, you don't want to miss it. Stay right with us. We'll be back after this with more on Right Side Patriots.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service, and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. And your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
You've all heard the story of Rudolph, about the good deeds that he's done. Oh, we know another reindeer who's also helped Santa along.
He's Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer, has a brown and shiny nose. Randolph struts right behind Rudolph everywhere that Santa goes. He's Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer, the pride of old St. Nick. The reason that his nose is brown is Rudolph always stops too quick. Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer always wears a Christmas smile. He thinks of all the boys and girls every single snow-filled mile. Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer is Santa's special pick. The reason that his nose is brown is Rudolph always stops too quick. Christmas is the time of year Randolph seems to dread, 'cause that's the time he's stuck behind Rudolph pulling Santa's sled. Randolph said to Santa, please change my spot, St. Nick, 'cause I never seem to know when Rudolph's gonna stop too quick. Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer has a brown and shiny nose. Randolph struts right behind Rudolph everywhere that Santa goes. Randolph the brown-nosed reindeer, the pride of old St. Nick. The reason that his nose is brown is Rudolph always stops too quick. The reason that his nose is brown.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. Diane, you have got one really good article right now in your blog at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. And this is all about this CIA report that Dianne Feinstein released. Really what she released was a 500-page summary of a 6,300-page report.
Yes, this was absolutely traitorous in intent, in action, and in implementation. This woman had the audacity to say, under any common meaning of the term, CIA detainees were tortured. Well, let me tell Dianne Feinstein something. She and her fellow Democrats are thorns in the side of American patriotism and allegiance. They do not get that waterboarding and other so-called enhanced interrogation techniques used on Islamic terrorists in the aftermath of 9/11. And remember, they are talking about things that were done during the Bush era, because when Obama came into office in 2009, he did away with all this. So they're again throwing back at Bush. Okay, these techniques that his administration used should be heralded and applauded, not demeaned or condemned, for there was and is still no politically correct nor civilized way to deal with those out to kill us all. Plain and simple. And need I remind people, you can't do this now. Need I remind people that both Obama and his Islamic sympathizing Democrats, that on a sunny day back in September of 2001, life for America as we know it changed forever. And need I remind them that on that day, 3,000 innocent Americans lost their lives when Islam, and yes, folks, Islam, declared war on our country. And need I remind them of the pictures of our fellow countrymen leaping to their deaths, trying to escape the fires of hell that would have engulfed them had they stayed in those buildings. Those pictures are forever ingrained in our collective consciousness, and the shock and the heart-stopping moment when we all gasped as a nation in horror as two buildings fell forever, entombing many of those we held dear, including two of my dear friends. We need to remind him of all that. And we also need to remind him and Feinstein and Pelosi and Reid and their ilk of the ongoing mass execution of Christians, of women and children being burned alive, of children being beheaded, of men, including American men, being beheaded, of crucifixions, of women and gays being stoned to death, of children and women being gang raped. And this is just to name a few. And guess what, folks? This stuff has been happening since 632 AD and continues to this day. So the Democrats complain about a little bit of waterboarding. Give me a frickin' break.
You know, when you look at the report, the summary of the report, and you see the things that they are equating to torture, and then you look at what these 7th century barbarians are doing to innocent people. And let's make no mistake, folks, those people that were waterboarded and deprived for a time of food, or made to stand at attention for hours and hours and hours, those people are not innocents. We're talking about people that were captured in the field of combat. We're talking about Al-Qaeda, okay? And these are people who had information that was able to lead us to be able to stop other threats against this country, to stop threats against our people who were working overseas, whether they be employed in private businesses or working for the State Department or members of our military. The information that was garnered through the use of what is called enhanced interrogation techniques is part of what has kept this country safe for the most part since 2001.
Yes.
And when you look at the minuscule, by comparison, things that were done to get information from these bastard animals, and you compare that to what those bastard animals do to innocent people, you have the nerve to call what we did torture?
Yes, and the waterboarding, the main thing that they have in question was done strictly on three prisoners, including Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the self-professed mastermind of 9/11. And Bush thankfully chimed in and said he would do it again to save American lives. These people on this committee care more about the barbarians who delight and relished in the spilling of American blood than they do about the Americans whose blood was spilled. It comes down to that, folks. They call this torture. No, these were not torture. Torture is the things I mentioned above. Torture is, if this wasn't done, do you know how many more American troops would have been killed? But this administration doesn't care about our troops. We know that. Our president goes around and apologizes for our troops. Remember, this is the man that tied our troops' hands behind their backs so they couldn't kill the enemy, but they had to fight to win the hearts and minds of the enemy.
Oh,
in other words, they couldn't do the job they were trained to do, so they got killed instead of killing the enemy.
Yeah, I hate to break it to people like Dianne Feinstein, who headed up the what she has to do with intelligence and why she is the chairperson of the Senate Intelligence Committee is beyond me. But I hate to break it to people like that, but you can't get any kind of information from a terrorist by asking them nicely.
No, and nor should you have to. Nor should you have to. But Craig, you know what one of the biggest affronts to all of this is? Obama's piping in. And he said that what we did was contrary to our values and that he will continue to use his authority as president to make sure we never resort to these methods again. And that means he'll be using his infamous pen and his phone to once again protect his bloodline brethren instead of protecting those he and his cronies have now placed in harm's way. And know that this report has now emboldened the enemy because they know what we do. So they're going to do any American or ally that they're captured, they're going to do even worse than any little thing we can do. And by the way, folks, waterboarding has been around since before World War II. It was used even before World War II on enemies and not just used by America. Waterboarding and the sleep deprivation and the other things done to these people are not listed in the Geneva Convention of no-nos. There was a lieutenant colonel on Fox this morning who did this type of interrogation for 30 years. And in no way, he said, did it break any laws whatsoever. And the bottom line is, we need to get information. And these people didn't give a damn that 3,000 American lives were taken, innocent American lives were taken by these bastards. They care more about them. But the best thing that came out of all of this, and I think I herald this, Feinstein and the CIA's actions, a stain on our nation's history, she can go shove that up her butt. And remember something else, folks, not one CIA operative was interviewed by this committee. But former Vice President Dick Cheney said it best, and this is a quote. "The only thing I would have done differently than the Bush administration was to kill them once we had gotten all the information we could get out of them." And guess what, folks? I applaud him, and I agree with him.
You know, it's amazing when you think about it. The Senate Intelligence Committee spent 5 years, and who knows how much money, putting together a 6,300-page report without talking to one single operative from the CIA about whom the report was.
Right.
Incredible.
Right. Well, you know what? They didn't use any common sense. And that leads right into, Craig, you need to talk about the lack of common sense from these people.
Well, you know, I put an article out there today, folks. It's in the nationalpatriot.com. And if all you're going to do is read the headline, you're going to go, what the hell is he talking about? Don't fart in your spacesuit. I mean, that's right there in the headline. Don't fart in a spacesuit. What we need in this country, folks, is common damn sense. And I know Diane and I are together, we're rowing the same boat. We've had enough of the absurd liberal pandering and self-victimization propaganda. We've got people out there in the streets from sea to shining sea right now, and they're raising hell because the leaders they have chosen to follow should be in a mental institution but aren't. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. If you're a liberal and you're following the lead of the mentally disturbed, you have your own problems, and somebody should probably hold a telethon to help you out. I mean, but it's not just confined to the liberal left. We got people out here on the far right that are just as guilty of a lack of common sense as those out there on the far left. And I'm talking about what I call the HTT Christian right, the holier than thou Christian right. They just can't get themselves far enough to the right to suit themselves. And here's kind of how it works. If you picture, and I've got this fully illustrated in the article, but if you picture the Hall of Congress, the chamber, congressional chamber. Let's say they're sitting on the right side and they keep scooting over to the right till they get all the way over to the right side of the right aisle. And they can't go any further, but they see a door. So they go out the door and they turn to the right because that's going to get them further to the right. They get down to the end of that hallway and they turn right again because they can even get further to the right than they were before. And when they get to the end of that hallway, they turn right again because they still don't think they're far enough over to the right. And then what do they find? A doorway on the right-hand side. So they go through it. And you know where they're sitting then, folks? On the left side of the congressional aisle. I mean, it's a lack of common sense. It really is. If you look at this thing, you look at what, certain people have had to say. Look at Debbie What's-Her-Name Schultz the other day. This is one of Diane's favorites because she's actually Diane's congresswoman. And I think you guys have coffee.
Oh, please.
Don't you? Whenever she's in town, you go have coffee, right?
Oh, yeah. The woman, oh, God, her voice is like nails on a blackboard, and she's barely 5 feet tall. She's just awful.
She's like a whining poodle.
Yes, sorry, poodles, but she is, with that hair.
Here's what she said the other day, and I quote, "The voters agree with us. We know that where you can see by referendum the questions like increasing the minimum wage, like equal pay for equal work, like making sure that women's health care was not unnecessarily restricted, Democrat policies were supported by voters and Republican policies were rejected. We have evidence," she said, "by voter turnout and election results that voters agree with us." Excuse me, has anybody bothered to share with Debbie What's-Her-Name Schultz the actual results of the actual election?
I think if they shared them, she didn't even look at them.
And then you've got Hillary and her smart power. We've got to empathize with the enemy comments, showing a distinct lack of any common sense at all. Okay? The deserts have been inhabited by 7th century barbarians, and they're becoming littered with the headless bodies of Western freelance journalists who did, Hillary, empathize with the 7th century barbarians. How's that working out for them? All right? I mean, you just got to use some common sense in all of this stuff. We talked about the debt earlier in the show. When you're spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to study a shrimp on a treadmill, you think that's using common sense? You want to know how far that shrimp ran? It ran all the way to Red Lobster. Okay, then it was the Tuesday special. And we're spending that kind of money. I mean, give me a break, people. Common Core education? Show of hands, everybody who likes Common Core? No common sense. When you teach a child that 2 + 2 = 7 and that's okay, what you've really done is to teach that child that being wrong is perfectly acceptable. And then they're going to carry that into adulthood, right?
Yes.
Excuse me. But, and you wonder why you've got adults rioting, looting, and committing arson. Because to them, being wrong is acceptable. It's a acceptable response to some 2-bit thug getting shot by the cop he just tried to kill. Up is down, right is wrong. Hello, common sense. Cling to your Bibles all you want, folks. You still have that right. Okay? And you should use it. But if you choose to hide behind your holier-than-thou pulpit and advocate legislation to make it unlawful for some people in this nation just to be themselves or worse, like stoning them, you're neither a Christian nor conservative. What you are, in fact, is equally as barbaric as an Islamist clinging to his Quran. I mean, use your common sense, people, and don't expect those of us with common sense to join your jihad. We're not going to do it. We're just not.
No.
Common sense would prescribe that any bill that is to be passed into law by Congress should first be read by Congress, just as common sense should have been enough to alert a few people who did pass such a law that if a bribe was offered for their support of the bill, it probably wasn't a very good bill. Common sense. This is how we got to Obamacare, people. And Diane just made a great common sense argument regarding that thing, for lack of that treasonous trash, piece of garbage that Dianne Feinstein put out. Common sense would tell you that telling our enemies exactly what we do and giving them a recruiting tool, because that's how they're going to use that report, is probably about the dumbest thing you could do. But those who issued it, Diane, no common sense. None. Then, I got another quote for you. This is one of those, oh my God, quotes. Josh Ernst, the current White House liar, the town liar, he stands up there before the reporters the other day, and he said this, quote, "There are some indications that the release of the report could lead to a greater risk that is posed to U.S. facilities and individuals around the world. The administration has taken the prudent steps to ensure that the proper security precautions are in place at U.S. facilities around the globe." Now, do you think he's talking about the same administration whose lack of common sense led to the same enemies being employed as quote-unquote proper security precautions in Benghazi? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
I mean, the real secret, folks, here it is. The real secret to a prosperous and strong nation lies in we, the people, electing leaders who have common sense and then removing them before Washington, D.C. sucks it out of them. Because it will.
You know what? It's not that Washington sucks it out of them. It's that they had no common sense going in, and the people who voted for them had no common sense.
I've seen people actually elected to the halls of Congress who went in good and came out just mindless robots. And I mean, Put them in there, leave them in there long enough to get something good accomplished, and then pull them out before they get all squishy. And then replace them with a new set. This is not supposed to be a lifetime position.
No,
I mean, couple of terms, get them out. Get them out. And if we, the people, don't have the common sense exhibited by NASA, that NASA, who keeps bean and broccoli soup off the menus for those about to suit up for a spacewalk, then we deserve to float around in a vacuum encased in our own self-created stink. And to those we elect, if you choose to fart in your spacesuit, don't come bitching to us about the aroma. We don't want to hear it.
No, we just want you guys gone. I mean, maybe they should have classes on the first day of Congress on common sense.
Jeez, you think one day of classes is going to do it?
Nah, not even a month of classes will do it. And this Congress, I mean, here it is. They impeached Bill Clinton over a cigar. And here it is, we have Barack Hussein Obama. Even though the Senate didn't approve it, he was still impeached. Here it is, we have a president and a Congress, certain members of Congress, who are letting traitorous actions go unchecked. Where is their common sense? Forget that the man is half black. Okay, he's not black, folks. Remember that he's mixed race. He's biracial. Here it is, we have a Congress without 1 ounce of common sense to impeach his sorry butt. Because the only way you can arrest him is you have to impeach him first.
It's all about common sense, folks. All about common sense. And by the way, just to be clear, Clinton was not impeached over the cigar. He was impeached, however, over the humidor.
Oh, oh my God. Okay. Technically, he was impeached before lying before the committees, but I figured it would just get a little hee-hee by over a cigar.
I did not put my cigar in that humidor, Monica. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's paraphrasing.
Yes.
Folks, if you missed the show on Wednesday or any part of it, we're going to rebroadcast it in about 3 minutes exactly, right here on CPR Worldwide Media. If you missed any of today's show, go to CPRWorldwideMedia.com, check the schedule. You'll find out when this show is going to be rebroadcast, probably somewhere around midnight tonight Eastern Time. With that, Diane,
and let's remind everybody, Craig, that next Wednesday we have our special guest will be Mudar Zahran. He is over his flu, and he will be on. He was really sick, guys, but he's good now, and he's got some news from Jordan that you will not hear on any of the media, including Fox.
And next Friday, you and I will make a special guest appearance on Legislative Roundtable, heard right here from 7 to 9 on CPR Worldwide Media on Friday nights. With that, Diane, we have come to the show, and our last Twisted Christmas song, this is the one that we've been promising. Glad everybody has stuck around to hear this, because we want to, Diane and I want to dedicate this to all the members of Congress who have or will be voting in favor of the new $1.1 trillion spending bill.
Oh, this should be a goodie.
You ready for this, Diane?
I'm ready.
Here we go, folks. Have a great weekend. Say goodbye, Diane.
Bye, guys.
You know, they say Christmas is a time for giving. At least that's what the good book says. And in our house every Christmas Eve, my son and daughter and their families drive down from the big city for an old-fashioned family holiday. Heck, Ma dresses up the house like a Christmas card. You can hear her in the kitchen singing while she's baking cookies for the children. And she spends hours wrapping the presents she's been buying since last August. She hangs all the stockings all over the fireplace. Man, the morning of, I cut me down the prettiest darn Christmas tree you ever saw in your life. And this year we really outdid ourselves, you know. Ma and I getting on in our years, so we decided to give the kids tax-free cash gifts of $10,000 apiece. Well, I reckon it was around noon when I heard the dogs barking.
Come, Rex! Come, Buster!
There was Jim the mailman in his old Santa cap coming up the walk, teasing chasing the dogs as usual and holding the package. Well, he handed over and he says, Pappy, it looks like you got an overnight package from your daughter. Well, Ma tore it open, and to both our horrors, we unwrapped a fruitcake with a note that read,
Aloha, Mom and Dad. At the last minute, we got a cheap fare on the internet and went to Hawaii. Hold on to our gifts till after the first of the year. Love, Princess.
Well, Ma's heart was broken, and I felt a lump in my throat as I thought to myself,
You ain't getting shit for Christmas.
Princess, you ain't getting shit for Christmas.
And shove that fruitcake up your ass.
As far as I'm concerned, you can stick that fruitcake up your ass.
You ain't getting shit. No, you ain't getting dick.
You ain't getting dick from me and Ma. Yeah, how do you like that? You know, Ma hasn't had a drink in 20 years, and I've been off the sauce myself for a while now, and heck, if there was ever an excuse to start drinking again, who in tarnation could that be? Junior and his family? It was some delivery fella standing there holding what looked like a fruitcake tin with a card attached.
Pop, the company's condo is free this week. And you know how much Pumpkin and I love Hilton Head. Please forward our gifts to this address.
Hey, Ma, save some of that for me! Well, Ma took a conniption, and things turned real ugly. She started breaking things and hurled the turkey and those 2 fruitcakes right through the front window, and the whole time she was yelling, You ain't getting shit for Christmas.
You ain't getting shit